Welcome to My Daily Thread. It's a great little place to get a snippet of wisdom from the yoga and the meditation masters to start or to end your day. I'm Jeff Lichty. All right, welcome friends. We are at the end of the week and we are ripping through Sadhanapada. We've been talking about kleshas, we've been talking about karma, and now we're moving on. Well, we're not really moving on. We're continuing on in the portion on practice. And this next verse, here it is. It's 2:16. Heyaṁ duḥkham anāgatam. Heyaṁ just means avoidable. Duḥkham is the word that refers to pain and suffering. Anāgatam just means not yet to come. So heyaṁ duḥkham anāgatam. Pain that has not yet come is avoidable. Ooh, that sounds really good, doesn't it? Now, think about this a little bit more deeply than just the superficial level. Past suffering cannot be avoided, right? I mean, we get that. It can't be avoided because we've already gone through the experience. We've had this experience in that there's been pain and suffering of some sort, and obviously that can't be avoided. Okay, that one's kind of a given, right? Present suffering, though, is operative in the present moment. And by having present suffering in this present moment, again, obviously, we can't escape the present. And how we are being in the present moment is really important because that can have some effect on what comes in the future. So really, the only pain that we can avoid is that which is in the future. So in this sutra, there is some hope and empowerment. There's some belief that we have some control or at least some influence in what's about to happen next. I can hear you saying, or maybe I'm just saying it in my own head, Jeff, that's all great. It's theoretical nonsense, existential crap, blah, 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 whatever. But I'm an operations guy. It must be my time as a paramedic. What's the practical application here? Because if we can't find something practical to use in all this, it's for my mind, it's like this is just wasted time. I might as well be on my mountain bike. So practically, think about these things. We need to cultivate a means of avoiding our future pain. And that kind of goes with the things we've already been talking about up until here. There has to be some mindful living. We have to make some conscious choices in our relationships, make some conscious choices in our career, cultivate some daily habits that decrease and prevent unnecessary distress, decrease our stress in general. We have to start to think about cultivating vairagya. Remember, abhyasa vairagya. This goes back to chapter 1, verse 12. We need to practice, of course. If we're going to continue with this mindful living thought, we need to practice mindful living. It's practice. But then we also need to find some detachment there. We need to be able to avoid the suffering that we cause by attaching to things. And that is by attaching to the fleeting pleasure that exists in just our world experience, or by attaching to an external outcome. And we talked about expectations before. The other thing that we can do from a very practical standpoint, we can start to cultivate tapas. Remember that word, self-discipline, practice, self-control, to prevent future regrets from coming down the line. We need to cultivate some healthy habits to prevent illness. There's going to be pain and illness, so why wouldn't we cultivate some healthy habits? And then when it comes to emotional pain, well, that's a whole different thing. This is a pretty interesting example. Do you remember that show, Super Size Me? I loved that show. If you haven't seen it, I don't know if you can still find it on Netflix, but Super Size Me, where a guy eats McDonald's for a month and it just totally blows out his body and completely destroys him. And if they say Super Size Me, he has to get the bigger fries and the bigger fat, sugary, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't hard to see in this show how food habits can totally destroy us or support us. But we miss the boat on our emotional pain sometimes, don't we? We get stuck in our ruminating thinking. We get stuck in our catastrophizing, doing all of the cognitive distortions that you can find in any cognitive behavioral therapy book. But we have choice. We have agency. That's all I'm saying. We can get that counseling. We can get that help, get the therapy, the hypnotherapy, whatever. Do what you need to do to get that knowledge, to be free of this cycle of pain and suffering. And then finally, the thing that I've been harping on, maybe from the beginning, is we need to cultivate some spiritual practices. And I think meditation is one of the best ones because it's so easy for us to just carve out 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Then self-inquiry, ethical living, all of those things are going to avoid the suffering that's avoidable. Heyaṁ, duḥkham, anāgatam. Future pain can be avoided. All right, friends, that's it for the week. Go forth, prosper, live your life, enjoy, and we'll catch up next week. Om, peace out. As a post-show note, I have a few spots that opened up for new private clients. So if you have any desire to learn some practices and integrate some of these teachings, get in touch with me, www.jefflichty.com, and fill out the contact form. Peace out.